You were telling me something about taxes. What is your objection with taxes in general?
Well, I have no objection with taxes in itself in general, but what I do have an objection to is the personal income tax, which is the most degrading tax and totalitarian tax that we could ever have. I mean, it's basically it wrongly suggests that the government owns the lives and the labor of everyone in Canada, and they don't.
How does it suggest that? By charging taxes?
Well, put it this way. The way I see it is that if you work, and any monies that you make out of you being, a hard-working person, you shouldn't be taxed on it. Period. I mean, it's your money.
Okay. So how should the government support itself, support the services that it provide?
Well, we have the oil and gas taxes. There's corporation taxes. There's all kinds of taxes out there, and the thing is a lot of that taxes covers the road infrastructure, and anything that needs to be fixed in the provinces. But as far as I'm concerned, no, they should not be taxing you on your personal money that you make.
But business taxes you are for?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, and resources, revenue from oil and gas and timber and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about your, as the final point here, let's talk a little bit about your position, your party, the philosophy, the ideology behind libertarianism, and how do you see representative democracy within your party? Are you happy with the way we elect politicians and they decide everything for the rest of the population? What is your position, or what is your view on that? On those, the way of the political system works right now?
Well, I believe it doesn't work. I think we need a serious change in this country.
We have a hierarchical type of system where the orders
monarchy. It's supposed to be a monarchy,
but
the funny part about that is we've got no queen or king sitting on the throne, but they got these representatives, and I don't think that they're really representing anything. I think it's just a phony position, and I think we need to get away from that type of system.
Get away and do what instead?
Well, like I said, there has to be change. I mean, the Libertarian Party itself, I mean, we stand for property rights, we stand for freedoms, liberties, and what we're seeing here is we're seeing those being eroded away, like in the United States and in Great Britain. It's turned into a police state. I mean, Canada's supposed to be a free and democratic country, but we're not. I mean, we're heading the same way that the United States is, the same way that Britain is. I mean, we've got that Bill C-30, right? The spying bill. And then you got the chief of police who figure that this should be put through and that they should have the right to spy on everybody, no matter what. Well, I personally myself, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that they have the right to do that. I don't agree that they have the right to remove any type of liberty, freedom from any individual. And they need to be stopped from doing that.
Would you consider the libertarians as anarchists?
No.
It's different again.
No. The movement that was in the United States with the libertarians down there, like Dr. Ron Paul did actually, as you know, well, most people know that he did quite well in the election when he was running, but unfortunately they did everything they could to interfere to stop him from winning any type of election because of what he stood for. And that basically what you got was this massive big movement because people realized that, yeah, they're losing their freedoms, they're losing their rights. And like I say, this is a war on our freedom in this country now, just as it is in the United States, just as it is in Britain.
Well, Art Lowe, thank you very much for your time, and we wish you well. Now let's talk about democracy. And the last topic is about the ability of citizens to participate in the political decision making. not just when they vote for you or for any other leader, but all along as an ongoing exercise of democracy. Some people call it direct democracy. Do you think that we should have that in this country?
It's not so much the system, it's the individuals in the system. I have been in the Greater Victoria School Board and on the Camosun College Council. I've been in what you might call positions of power in many respects. It's not that you have power. I can assure you nobody really has power. But people do become arrogant when they've been in a situation. The only power you really have is to appoint your advisors. Otherwise, nobody has power. That's an illusion. The problem is, of course, how do you help people with this illusion? As to a better system than representative government, I don't know. Have you got one? I don't think so. How is that representation possibly improved? There are lots of different ways that it can be improved.
Mm-hmm. But for the time being, you're happy with our representative democracy?
No, I would like to, yeah, with the system, it's pretty good. But, I mean, throughout all history, they always, what they used to say, shot a pea at the top hat. That is, the person there is a object for people's displaced aggression and anger and dissatisfaction. Nobody's ever been a good governor. There's never been a time when that person who was in power was admired very much for the time he was in power. After he's been there or she's been there, they say wonderful things about her. But it's much, much harder than people understand. And Canadians have got to get in there to participate in it so that they can understand the process by being in it themselves.
Well, Phil, thank you very much. I think we have more than the time that we need. So thank you for coming and
Gracias,
telling us
muchas gracias.
your ideas and your thoughts. And I wish you well.
Thank you.
Okay. Could be this conversation continue through referendums where people can put their opinions and be measured through a poll or through a referendum. Do you think that the government should have more referendums?
I think really what it comes down to is we've got to learn to work better together. Principles. It takes a neighborhood to build a community. It's not up to one entity, one individual, or one level of government. We have all the ingredients. We just right now are lacking a little bit of the leadership to bring the people together in our community here in Victoria and talk about these really important roles. And it's going to require all community groups to do that.
Yeah. We're talking of having people participating and decision making and all that. And I mentioned referendum. Do you think how are the political representatives gonna know that what they are deciding is really the decision of the majority of the people if we don't have any plebiscites and referendums?
Well, I think you've asked a really important question. I think a cardinal rule in being an elected official for a region is that you're the voice of those folks. That is something, as a person, as a citizen in Victoria, and as watching the political landscape of the world, it bothers me a little that we get elected and we don't stay in touch with our own backyard. Listen, as a principal, as an individual, I'm running and I have this promise as the MP for Victoria, that I promise that I will listen to the voices of the Victoria and I will be the messenger of the listens of Victoria. So in that, when we have discussions on financial budgets and we have groups come to Victoria to talk about our budget or our infrastructure or our education or any other thing, I will assure you and insist that it's a community conversation, and I will open up the doors to make sure the community gets its chance to be heard, because those activities happen now, but we're not all engaged and involved.
Yeah. If my opinion is not counted, how will I know that you consider my opinion?
If your opinion's not counted?
Yeah. Like in a referendum, you count. You say 75% of people want this or don't want this, and 60% want that.
Right.
But if we don't count it, how do I know that you're listening to my...
So I think what happens, I think that the activity of a referendum is a good one. I think what has to happen prior to the question is we have to have a good debate and dialogue so that we can form the best question and pose it to the citizens. I'm not opposed to referendums. What I want is to make sure that we have a good old-fashioned conversation. We populate the table with as much people as we can, because I don't know it all, and it's certainly, this election is not about a day, it's about the future. It's about Victoria, and it's not just about Dale's opinion. nothing in this community is going to get accomplished individually. It has to be that a collective approach. And that's why I say, so as far as referendums, great way of calling the question. Let's just have enough dialogue and be inclusive to the community to really have a good conversation before we call the question.
So people will be well informed before they vote.
Yeah, I think it has to be. We may have an idea, but we have to have the community surround the idea and take the idea forward, otherwise it won't happen. Yep. They have to embrace it.
Dale, thank you very much.
I appreciate having the chance to talk to you.
Okay.
Well, I think that the Green Party is traditionally an environmental party, and what we are seeing at the moment is a global crisis in relation to climate change. We are seeing the Arctic ice at its lowest summer level ever. It's clear that water levels are rising. It's clear that the rate of change in our climate situation is way beyond what it's ever been in recorded history. It seems that we need to have our government and the governments around the world take this issue seriously. Currently, I don't think that the Harper government is doing so. The Harper government identifies imposing a carbon tax, for example, as, quote, a dumb idea, unquote. Other countries around the world have seen this as the only way to control greenhouse gases, and we have to get on board that bus in order to fulfill our global obligations.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Galloway.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Look.
The key issue in this election is science-based policy. And what's happening to Victoria is we're having a secondary sewage treatment plant being imposed on the city by the Harper government and supported by the NDP. It's a colossal waste of money. There's no net environmental benefit, and it needs to be stopped. In addition to that, after the U.S. election, where Colorado and Washington legalized marijuana, the Liberal Party is the absolute leading edge, progressive and scientifically based conversation about cannabis. What we're doing isn't working. And the legalization, the regulation, the commercialization and taxation of cannabis is something the Liberal Party is going to have in its next federal platform, and something that I'm completely committed to. We need also in the city to invest in 21st century transportation technologies. We underinvest in public transit. We underinvest in cycling strategies. My vision for Victoria is a city where cycling and walking and taking public transit is safe, efficient, and affordable.